2014 North American LCS Spring Split. We're going to dive right into our next match, Team Solo Mid versus Team Coast. Now to help us get ready, we're joined by TSM's owner and coach, Reginald. Well, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
So we're going to have a two-person interview with Alex Penn. Unfortunately, he was under the weather. And I know that your team's actually been having some health issues as well. How's that affected you guys?
It was really bad at one point. I thought they were just going to go into the season and have a terrible record, but somehow a miracle happened, man. We're 11-1 right now. I mean, Odd1 was like borderline dead. We had to cancel scrims for like literally 2 weeks straight. Everyone was sick, and they're all in the same room practicing, right? So I'm like, guys, try to avoid each other as much as possible. Quarantine Odd1. and like Odd1 was really dedicated, and he's always playing solo queue, trying to keep up his mechanics. And it's like he's just been performing really well. He stepped up his mechanics. He's doing really great, and I was really surprised at how well he's been performing when he's sick. But my team's finally recovering now, so I'm expecting them to do even better. But hopefully they can keep up with the expectations.
Have there been any new kind of rules around the house to try and keep people healthy?
Absolutely. So one of the things I did this season was I wanted them to step away from soda a little bit more, and mainly because like they would just drink soda constantly, because they want that caffeine so they can just always be energized to play. But it's not good for the long haul. If they want to play for the next couple of years, then they're gonna have to be healthy, right? So like Odd1 was literally sick for like a whole entire month. I was like, oh God, I was really worried. So we're just doing a lot of things to make sure that they stay into shape, keep healthy, and really just focused on doing well this season.
Well, it's good to hear you guys are doing more like sort of health training, making sure you guys are in good shape physically as well as in the game. So you talked about the fact that your team's healthier now. They should be performing better now that they're back from sickness. You guys are on an 11-game winning streak. The current record stands at 13, which you're poised to tie here at the end of this week. Are you ready to do that?
To be honest, it doesn't really matter to me what their score is this season, as long as they learn a lot and they come into the next split strong. Next split's what really matters. It's what qualifies you to Worlds, and it's what means the most to us. So far, we haven't been able to have really big impact at Worlds where, wow, we've done a really good job. Wow, we're in the finals. That's our goal this year, is to really do that. I told my team, I don't really care if you guys go 14-14 this play, as long as you just take something from it and learn. Like after the first match we lost to Cloud9, I saw that they were playing really scared. I didn't like the way they were playing, and I told them, like, look, I don't care if you go into these matches. I don't care if you lose. Just try your best and really like do what you do in practice. Don't be afraid to try anything new. And that's what these LCS matches are for. They're the season matches, right? So that's just our goals. It isn't really to have a clean record. It isn't to go 15-0 or 27-1. It's to get better and do as best as possible next split.
Well, something interesting happened with Cloud9 in the last split when they went 25-3, and then as soon as they made it to Worlds, they ended up losing. And you just mentioned how, as long as they take something away from the split, but as long as you guys keep winning, how do you continue to improve as a team and learn?
So I think that Cloud9 was very strong going into Worlds last split, but I felt like they got a little complacent. Cloud9 was just dumpstering everyone in scrims in Worlds, and I think the biggest thing was Worlds is a really big educational experience. Going into groups alone and playing all these great teams for several matches makes you even better. Like when you're playing against Faker, when you're playing against like IG or what was it? Cool. OMG's middle.
OMG's cool.
He was really good, and there's a lot to learn. So after you get out of group stage, you're just instantly a lot better. Whereas you take a lot less off scrimming because when you're on stage, like there's a lot of pressure, and when you're in scrims, there's not nearly as much pressure. And I felt like after groups, those teams just got even better, and they're able to just step it up, and they're able to beat Cloud9. But I felt like Cloud9's match versus Fnatic was really close. It could have been either way. It just happened that Cloud9 got caught out early on and just lost the match.
So then what have you guys actually learned from your victories during your 11-game winning streak this split?
So TSM, for us, it's really important that we're consistent, right? It doesn't matter how good we are, like our maximum potential, if we're not consistent. Like our previous record, Spring Split and Summer Split last season was really rough. Like we were 14-14. We managed to go up to first. We managed to get up to second, but it wasn't consistent. And what you need is consistency if you want to do well at Worlds. You need to be able to get out of groups. You need to be able to win most of your matches and get to the finals. We haven't been consistent, so we're working on consistency, and that's the most important.
Okay, well then speaking of consistency, let's get ourselves back into the game at hand here. You've got Team Coast in front of you. They're on a 2-0 winning record so far, or winning streak, I should say. And the top lane is a lane I want to focus on right now. Dyrus, who went to Worlds, had a great experience, and is, of course, a star for you guys, and Zion Spartan, who was last week's MVP and put up huge performances. How do you feel about these two players coming in?
So Dyrus is a very consistent player. He generally plays really well. Sometimes he doesn't play nearly as well under pressure, but overall he's a great player. He always does decent. For Zion, he's very swingy, and what I mean by that is he either does really well or terrible. And in my opinion, Zion has very, like, I don't want to use the word potential because CLG is always using it, but Zion has a lot of potential. He could be a really good player, but the biggest problem with Zion is that he just plays too aggressive. He doesn't take risk analysis where, like, he would just play completely ham, and if he gets caught, he's gonna lose his team the game. And Zion ends up losing his team a lot of the games. But if Zion gets going, he does really well. I think one of the biggest things with Dyrus is that he focuses so much on consistency that if Zion actually takes advantage of him, he's going to push it really far. And Dyrus is going to go for the consistency and try to go even, and Zion's only going to pull far ahead. So whenever Zion plays against Dyrus and he gets ahead, he always goes extremely ahead. So if I was Dyrus, I would definitely get the pressure needed for top lane. And if he shuts Zion down, Zion's just done.
And so it seems like consistency is a big topic for you guys this season so far. And pressing on Dyrus, he has been this consistent threat for you guys. What is his performance meant for you guys this season? Like what is he to the team?
Honestly, I am very, very proud of Dyrus. He's gotten so much better since the last split than this split, and one of the big things is that he's actually communicating with the team. Before, Dyrus is very quiet. He doesn't share. We've always been trying to get him to communicate, and he's just had a huge step up. I've had talks with each player every single week to work on their weaknesses, and overall, Dyrus has improved so much. Like, if you see his teleports in the crucial games, like, he's done some crucial teleports where it's game-changing, where we've got Baron, we've won games, he's gotten many towers, and we've gotten many kills because of his plays. And last season, that was something that he wasn't able to do. But this season, he is a huge step up. He's able to contribute to the team. He's able to contribute to them on a strategy basis, on a gameplay basis. His performance is stellar. He's doing really well in lane. He's just really a really good player, and he's only getting better right now. So I'm really proud of him, and I think that if auto and pressures top lane right this game, we're just gonna stomp coast.
Yeah, I've heard also a lot of teams talk about their way of practicing and preparing, saying that Dyrus has improved a lot. Some teams balance a lot of solo queue play with scrim time. How does the time distribution go on Team Solo Mid?
So it varies depending on what's happening in the patch. I generally focus on a lot of the strategy with the team. I point them in the direction they go.
Do you set the practice schedule as well?
So I was helping them with the practice schedule. So before we're only doing scrims, and that wasn't working. How it works with TSM is that I have a weekly meeting with each player individually to go through the problems. So basically, because it's really stressful when a lot of players have problems with each other, and they don't want to handle the social aspect of, like, I really don't like this, right? Because they don't want to create that individual problem where they have a problem against the player. So what would happen is I have a meeting with each player individually. I talk to them. I talk about it. I listen to all their problems, and then with all the for all the players that I do have problems, I go to them and talk to them like, hey, this is better for the team. You need to change this, change this, change this. And it's been very helpful for us. We've been constantly getting more consistent and better. And that's how we've been doing things. In terms of solo queue, we generally have more solo queue now. We play solo queue on Monday, and we try to have 2 hours of solo queue every single day because it's really important to just pick up the new strategies. If you're not able to play, at least know the counter, right? So you know how to deal with it, because we totally didn't expect Cloud9 to blow that team with the first game, and we totally got cheesed. So it's really important for us to just broaden our knowledge.
Speaking of broadening, are we going to see your players sort of branch out into doing some wildly different things? For example, Bjergsen, huge in Assassins. Are we going to see him play sort of the more consistent, supportive role? Are we going to see Dyrus play Assassin in the top lane? Anything you guys are trying out?
So one of the biggest problems, right, is there's 2 types of teams. There's teams that are innovative, and there's teams that pick up things really fast. Our goal is to be really strong in the current meta instead of innovating, because instead of spending a lot of your time innovating, we focus on being really strong with the meta. Like, for example, if you look at Coast, right? Coast has been doing very poorly for the last 2 splits. Why? They have all strong individual players, but they just try too hard to be hipster. They always try too hard to pull out these new champions when their basics just aren't good. They're not consistent. They're not strong at the current meta. Why are you trying to innovate when you're not even good at the current meta yet? Like, if you look at M5, for example, they are strong. so they have the ability to spend extra time to innovate. Like Diamond, he's a really good player. He can play every single jungle, so he has the time to innovate. Whereas other teams, they spend so much time trying to find a new jungle when they can't even play the strongest champions in that meta. And that is not something you should do when you're a pro. You should be literally trying your best to get good at what's really good instead of trying to pick up something new to avoid practicing the champion that's OP.
Yeah, final question for you here. Might be kind of a tough one, but you guys have so much self-improvement and kind of looking back right now. Currently, what do you think the biggest obstacle TSM has to overcome?
Biggest obstacle. So I mean, there's so many, man. Like on a world stage, on an LCS stage, I think that CLG is gonna be a very top contender. They've been really strong. I mean, they look really strong, right? So I mean, they've had their fair shares of ups and downs where they've had bad roster changes and all that, but now they're finally getting stable. I'm really looking forward to that old TSM CLG rivalry again because it's like before. Every single match, I would just get really heated up, like, oh my god, I'm really excited for this match, even when I was a player. I'm like, and I would just like go online, talk smack, because it really hypes up the match. It's really fun, right? So I'm really looking forward to that. I think that C9 is going to go into the season really strong, and those are the two teams I'm worried about. But who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? I mean, did you expect to go to 11-1? I didn't know that. Like, did you expect CLG to make a huge comeback just with Dexter within 1 week? I didn't expect that. So I don't know at this point, but just short term, we're really focused on the playoffs. We're going to practice really hard for those playoffs, and hopefully we do well. But mainly I'm worried about CLG and C9.
All right.
All right, Reginald, thank you very much, and good luck in the game coming up in a second. We're going to throw it over to Riv and Kobe for the playoff.